Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjanayam Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhare Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihare Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Om Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Shtotrashat Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnu Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Shtotrashat Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Just gonna wait for the book. Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We continue reading 8th Canto, Chapter 5, Text 32 today. Pada Mahyam Mahyam Swakritaiva Yasya Chatur Vidho Yatra Hi Bhuta Sargaha Sa Vai Mahapurusha Atmatantraha Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti Padamahyam Swakritaiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hi Bhuta Sargaha Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti Pado Mahiyam Swakritaiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hi Bhuta Sargaha Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti Pada Mahiyam Sakritaiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hi Bhuta Sargaham Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti. Please chant.
Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti. Padamahiyam Sakataiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hi Bhuta Sargaha Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti. So I made a mistake on the third line. It's not Tantra. It's just Tantra. Keep taking those syllables with H at the end. We're only on even number one.
Yeah, okay. 1, okay.
2 and 4.
2 and 4.
Okay, next. Padamahiyam Sakataiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hi Bhuta Sargaha Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti.
Gordon?
Padamahiyam Sakataiva Yasya Chaturvidho Yatra Hi Bhuta Sargaha Savai Mahapurusha Atmatantra Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhuti.
Okay, Chan?
Padamahiyam Sakataiva Yasya Mahiyam Sakataiva Yasya
Chaturvido Yatra Hi Bhuta Sargaha
Pachadovido Yaptahi Bhuta Sargaha
Savai Mahapurusha Atma Tantra
Savai Mahapurusha Atma Tantra
Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhutihi.
Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhutihi.
Anyone online would like to chant this verse? 32.
Padau Mahiyam Svakritaiva Yasya Chaturvido Yatra Hi Bhuta Sargaha Savai Mahapurusha Atma Tantra
Savai Mahapurusha Atma Tantra
Prasidatam Brahma Mahavibhutihi.
Tapas, Prabhu, are you there? Okay, we'll go on. Synonyms. Pada, his lotus feet. Mahi, the earth. Yam, this. Sakrita, created by himself. Eva, indeed. Yasya, of whom? Chatuvidha, or four kinds of living entities. Yatra, wherein. He, indeed. Bhuta Sargaha, material creation. Saham, he. Vai, indeed. Mahapurusha, the Supreme Person. Atma Tantra, self-sufficient. Prasidatam, may he be merciful to us. Brahma, the greatest. Mahavibhutihi, with unlimited potency. Translation and commentaries by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. On this earth, there are four kinds of living entities who are all created by Him. The material creation rests on His lotus feet. He is the great Supreme Person, full of opulence and power. May He be pleased with us. Purport. The word Mahi refers to the five material elements, earth, water, air, fire, and sky, which rest upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mahat Padam Punya Yasho Murare. The Mahat Tattva, the total material energy, rests on His lotus feet, for the cosmic manifestation is but another opulence of the Lord. In this cosmic manifestation, there are four kinds of living entities. Jara Yuja, those born from the embryos. Andaja, those born from the eggs. Svedaja, those born from the perspiration. And Udbija, those born from the seeds. Everything is generated from the Lord, as confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya. No one is independent, but the Supreme Soul is completely independent. Janmadhyasya tahan vayat taratascha teshabhiknya swarat. The word swarat means independent. We are dependent, whereas the Supreme Lord is completely independent. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is the greatest of all. Even Lord Brahma, who created the cosmic manifestation, is but another opulence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The material creation is activated by the Lord, and therefore the Lord is not a part of material creation. The Lord exists in His original spiritual position. The universal form of the Lord, Vairajamurti, is another feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvichesha Shunyvari Paschatya Desha Tarine. Hare Krishna. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. And only by your mercy I can say something of value. So please pray that I can glorify Srimad Bhagavatam today nicely. We continue reading the chapter called The Demigods Appeal to the Lord. And as far as I understand, this is the glorification Lord Brahma, along with the demigods, are giving to the Lord. And they're expecting that the Lord will appear and give them proper knowledge. How can they deal with the situation that is taking place? Asuras are becoming more powerful than the devas. So in this way, Lord Brahma, being the chief of the demigods, is in this way leading them and teaching them how he can glorify and they can glorify the Lord. But before I proceed, I'd like to ask Javira Prabhu one question. At the last sentence, this word Vairajamurti, I couldn't really thoroughly understand what that means. Do you have any idea? It says the universal form of the Lord. So I guess it's referring to the universal form of the Lord. I've never heard that it's called like that. Okay. And today is also another glorious day. Javira Prabhu, 52 years ago, joined the Brahmachari ashram. So I'd like to congratulate you and many more years of great inspiration for devotees, for all of us here and all over the world. I'm sure your class of Javira Prabhu are famous and popular all over the world. Hare Krishna, thank you so much for your association. So I was looking at this text and specifically the translation, and I see that there are 5 parts to this translation. First part is, on this earth there are 4 kinds of living entities. So we'll speak about the 4 kinds of living entities, and Srila Prabhupada also mentions in the commentaries. The second part is, who are all created by Him. So all the living entities are created by the Lord. So how are they created? That's the question. The third part is, material creation rests on His lotus feet, which is, you can say, it's also mentioned in a purport, and it's quite important to understand what it is exactly our understanding of the lotus feet of the Lord, how all the material creation rests there. So this is the third part. And the fourth one is, He's the great Supreme Person, full of all opulence and power. So we'll speak about the opulence and power of the Lord. And the fifth part is, may He be pleased with us. We'll also mention some things how we can please the Lord. So in the cosmic manifestation, there are different kinds of living entities. And we understand that material nature is not functioning on its own. In the previous text, it is explained that everything comes from the Lord through Lord Brahma. He's the incarnation of Rajaguna and also a Guna avatar. And in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 9th chapter, Krishna says, Maya dakshana prakriti suete sacharacharam. So there's 2 kinds of living entities, chara acharam. The movable, those who are moving, and immovable living entities, or moving and non-moving living entities. Those are 2 kinds. And also, in further in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains, Sarva yunyasya kuntiya aham bija padapita. He says that I'm the seed-given father to all these living entities. And as we learn from the Bhagavad Gita also, within the planetary systems, the soul can take birth and live anywhere, because the soul is known as sarvagata. You can take birth in fire, in water, on land. So Srila Prabhupada mentions these 4 living entities. The first one is Jarayuja, those who are born from the embryos. And this is referring to the human beings, to us. We're born from the embryos. And our mission, our goal of life is to engage in yajna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, yagyartha karmano nyatra. Yes, yagyartha karmano nyatra. lokayam karma bandhana. So therefore human life is meant for yajna. This is also stated in various places, karapara upakara. If we take birth as a human being, we should preach, we should become Krishna conscious and deliver people, or try to help them to be delivered. And our acharyas say that karma, manasa, gira, our action, our mind, our words should be engaged in Krishna consciousness and preaching the message of Krishna consciousness. And we were a few days ago, we were at SDSU with Bhakta Matthias Prabhu, and we were distributing books. And we had a very wonderful day, so many students. And actually the first interaction I had with was a professor. One professor, he was approving our book distribution. At first he was a little hesitant to take the books, but then I showed him more. He looked at the table and he started picking. He said, I'll take this book, I'll take that one, I'll take this and that one. And he ended up taking almost all the books we had on our table. And at the end I was taking a picture of him, and he said, Professor approved, holding all the books like that. So that was the auspicious beginning of our day. And later I also met a person, which was quite an interesting interaction. He told me that 2 or 3 years ago, I was out and about with my friends here in PB, in our alleyway. And he said that I needed to use the restroom. And I couldn't find where I could use the restroom. So I saw this light and the door open, the kitchen door. And I knocked on the kitchen door. And there were some people wearing robes. I thought they monks. So I asked them, can I use your restroom? And they let me use the restroom. They just said, please take off your shoes. Don't go in your shoes. So you use the restroom. And as far as I understood, he was intoxicated, so he really badly needed to use the restroom. And he was very grateful. He went out. And now 2 or 3 years later, he meets me at SDSU, a student at SDSU, and he has a really quite a strong inclination to read and he's attracted by the books. So he takes also the whole set and in gratitude goes home to hopefully read the books. And also some time ago I was distributing books at the park, and I met a person. He was he looked a little bit, you can say, agitated, and also a little bit angry, His hands were all in tattoos. I stopped him and I started showing him the books. And he noticed the SSR, Science of Self-Realization. And he said, I know this one. I said, how do you know this book? He said, well, some years ago I was in Chicago. I was driving a car full of methamphetamine, and the police pulled me over. They put me to jail for, I think he said, maybe not full of methamphetamine, I'm exaggerating, but they put him in jail for 6 years. That's how he ended up in jail. 6 years. 6. And he said, in jail, I saw this book, SSR, Science of Self-Realization. And I really wanted to read that book, but I just couldn't get my mind to do it. I was always busy, disturbed by things. And now he comes again. So he also was enlivened to see Srila Prabhupada's books, and he took it. So in many ways, Srila Prabhupada would say that success of our movement is to preach, is to give people the holy name, distribute books. But at the same time, we do this on the strength of our chanting, in reading books nicely, worshipping the deities, and so on. So only in this way preaching has strong effect. So we all have to always emphasize sadhana and deity worship. It's important to facilitate preaching. So the second type of living entities, it's mentioned here, is the andaja, those born from the eggs. And now we had an example of a bird living here on the property. So that's a second class. Third one is, we see svedaja, those born from perspiration. And a typical example Srila Prabhupada would give is the bed bugs. when you sweat, and if you don't wash your clothing that you sleep in, then this bugs are born from perspiration and they stay there. So we have to watch out for that. There's some living entities born from perspiration. And udbija, those born from the seeds, trees, plants, flowers, like that. And in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is explained, I'll just briefly say it, that the creation is taking place in such a way that first comes Mahatattva, then the false ego is generated, then the creation of knowledge, of working capacities, then comes the devas, from the devas come the movable and immovable living entities. So that's in summary how the creation takes place. And that creation is, of course, is manifested by the Lord Himself. So in this text we see that everything is generated from the Lord as confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra, Janmadhyasya. So no one is dependent but the Supreme Soul, who's completely dependent. This word Svarat means that the Lord is independent, He's the cause of all causes. For Him, doesn't need to be a cause, doesn't need to be a reason. Sometimes people might ask us, why is Krishna black or blue? Why is Krishna this and that? Doesn't have to be a reason. He's Sarva Karana Karanam, the cause of all causes and everything. So He empowers Brahma, who is not born from perspiration or seeds. He empowers him to impregnate this Mahatattva, this planetary systems. And we see that through this Guna avatar, Lord Brahma, the three worlds are created. We have Pataloka, or Patalokas, we have Buralokas, and the Swargalokas. So lower, middle, and upper planetary systems. And of course, different varieties of living entities. And what maintains this Mahatattva, or this material creation, is the impersonal feature of the Lord, Kala, Rupa, the time. Just as the body at some point will be finished, we learn from the Bhagavad Gita 2.13, Dehinosmin yita dehe komaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dirastatra namuhiti, that the body will be finished. So similarly, in the 8th chapter, Krishna explains that also the cosmic manifestation will also be finished at some point. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. And then it'll come again. It's a cycle, repeated cycle. It's very nicely described in Bhagavad Gita and the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. First comes Sarga, the first creation by Lord Vishnu, who bring forth all the elements, gross material elements. Then the 5 objects of sense perception, the 10 senses, the mind, intelligence, the false ego, and the universal form. Then comes Visarga, the secondary creation. This is the work of Lord Brahma. He's producing all the moving and immoving living entities and placing them in particular bodies. And then Sthana. This is, I'm mentioning the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sthana means the maintenance of the universe. He does that through his Purusha avatars and Guna avatars. So this is something about how the Lord creates. Then we see that material creation rests on the lotus feet of the Lord. And this is quite interesting. One time, His Holiness Srila Giriraj Swami was with Srila Prabhupada in Juhu. And he was walking with Srila Prabhupada by the ocean on the sand. And he was feeling a little bit disturbed, wretched, as he said, at that moment. And he was feeling that he's not exactly satisfied in the mind. And so Srila Prabhupada quoted a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, basically saying, what is the word? Antaha means the master. Antaha, not Natha. Excuse me, Natha. Natha. Sorry. So the word Natha means the master, the protector. So he quoted a verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he gave an example that of a dog. There were some people with dogs. Yeah. So he said that if you don't have a master, then you are Street dog, yeah, you're a street dog. You have no shelter, no protection. But if you do have a master, then there's, yeah, you have shelter. You can always, in the Bhagavatam, this verse is mentioned too. Mahat padam punya yasho urare. This is the shelter. It's compared to a boat. The lotus feet of the Lord are compared to a boat. And if you take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, then you can cross this vast ocean of material suffering, mrityu samsara vartmani. Aprapyamam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani. This ocean becomes the size of a pedal, yeah, of a hoof. Very small, calf's footprint. And in this way, this is the real mercy of the lotus feet of the Lord, of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. Also, there's a similar verse in the 2nd chapter of the 10th canto where demigods are praying to the womb of Devaki when Lord Krishna is about to come. It's mentioned that the actual shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord is following after the Mahajans, is following after the Acharyas, and what they do is they pave a path, right? Pave a path. So, in this way, of course, we see that the practice that we have, bona fide practice, is given by Srila Prabhupada. We chant the holy name, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam, and also we preach. These two things. So if we simply follow after the Acharyas, after Srila Prabhupada, after our spiritual masters, then the success will be there. We'll reach that perfect, sublime, fragrant, as described, shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And I find it very, very instructive and inspiring how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays in this bhajan Gopinath. I was just kind of trying to read and understand it. Of course I don't, but he says that I have abandoned you and I have taken shelter in lust, just material desires, Oh Gopinath, you know everything. Now, having punished your servant, please give him a place at your lotus feet, he says. And he says, the noose of materialism has been fixed around my neck, and it's suffocating me. Taking up the sword of your mercy and cutting that bondage. Make this Bhaktivinoda your humble servant. That's a perfect way to meditate and to pray to the Lord. Always remembering our position as a humble servant. Maybe we're not externally trying to speak so much about that, but at least internally it's our mood. Of course, externally we also accept the humble position, but what I'm trying to say is that going to everyone and saying that, oh, I'm fallen, this and that, maybe it's not exactly what we should be doing, but understanding that internally, that's our mood. Another thought I had about this lotus feet of the Lord and Guru is the name Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, it means that Srila Prabhupada takes shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. But also Prabhupada means is that a lot of devotees, because Prabhupada takes shelter of the Lord directly, a lot of devotees come and take shelter of his lotus feet. And Sanatana Goswami, in his commentaries to this verse in this Srimad Bhagavatam in the 14th chapter, 10th canto, he speaks about how the lotus feet of the Lord are compared to the flower. They compare to the flower, and he's mentioning how even Narada Muni, great acharyas, great mahajans, they come and they take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and then all other devotees do so also. So, Pallava, lotus feet of the Lord are just like desire trees to fulfill desires of everyone. And we also sing in the morning the Guru Vandana prayers that yes, the lotus feet of the Lord, they also can fulfill desires of everyone. So Acharya gives the suitable method, and we try to follow. Now we see that the fourth part of this translation is that the Supreme Lord is the greatest, is great Supreme Person. He possesses all opulences, all wealth, full strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. These are 6 opulences of the Lord, and we learn from these opulences in the Srimad Bhagavatam. They're called Maha Vibhutihi. Those opulences unlimited, In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions about 82 of them. Right? We see from text 21, Krishna begins speaking in the 10th chapter. He says, I'm the super soul, I'm beginning, middle, and end of all beings, a light of the radiant sun, I'm the moon of all the stars, of the demigods I'm Indra, I'm the consciousness of the living entity, and I'm the ocean of all bodies of water, of all the seeds, I'm the banyan tree, and so on. So, and it's actually in the beginning of the 10th chapter, Krishna already told Arjuna that everything comes from me, both spiritual and material comes from me. And then Arjuna is wonderfully inquiring more details. Please, Krishna, explain the details to me, because I'd like to know the details. And so, therefore, for the benefit of us, it's helping us to realize Krishna, his vibhutis. As we go on about our day, I'm the taste of water, the sun, fragrance of the earth. It's very helpful meditation, especially in the beginning stage. So therefore, we learn about the opulences of the Lord in this way. And the fifth part, it says, may he be pleased with us. So the demigods are praying, they want the Lord to appear and be pleased with them. Otherwise, what's the purpose? Our final subject of meditation is the Lord. We're trying to please Him. We're trying to get His mercy. We're asking for a spiritual boon. And here we see that actually the Lord would appear, and He will. We were discussing this in the last class I was giving, how the Lord Brahma, when he comes to Shvetadvip with all the demigods, he cannot see. He only is meditating on the message, on the sound that's coming, the sound vibration that's coming from Lord Vishnu. But actually at the end, we see that because the Lord is pleased, He manifests Himself. He shows Himself to His devotees, to the devas. And so that's the answer we get, that, yeah, the Lord is everywhere. We should be very, very careful. We should be very attentive to how we perform our sadhana bhakti, how we chant the holy name, how we pray, because the Lord can show Himself in various ways. He can show Himself through His devotees, through the deity. He can show Himself through the Bhagavatam, out there on Harinam, or during book distribution or prasadam distribution, in many, many ways. And sometimes we don't see that the Lord is showing His mercy, showing His opulences, giving us answers we're looking for. So the prayers are always answered. Even if we don't have a direct understanding right away, it might take some time, but the sincere prayers are always answered by the Lord. Of course, if He is pleased with us. So in this, I'll just conclude by briefly mentioning here that to satisfy the Lord, we need yagya, we need sacrifice. That's why we here in this Kali Yuga, sacrifice and Yuga Dharma for the sages to chant the holy name of the Lord. This is our yagya. In the 10th chapter, as Bhagavad Gita is also mentioned, of all the sacrifices, some japa, chanting the holy name. And so in the beginning, when we come to Krishna consciousness, we might have material desires and things that we want. We want to better our life financially. We want to better our health, maybe, or we want to mentally, for example. Many, many different things that we could want from this tradition, this practice. But ultimately, it's meant to give us this pure, unalloyed devotional service, this to reach that position. So it's explained in the 3rd chapter that there could be sakama karma yoga, practice of sakama, some material desires. And if you're not a devotee, that position is not very favorable, because it might take a long time for you to reach pure bhakti, anyabilashuta shunyam. But if you are a devotee, in time of practice, you hear, associate more, and then you get purified, and your knowledge and detachment increases. And from sakama karma yoga, you come to nishkama karma yoga. And nishkama means that I have no kama. Nish means no, and kama means sense gratification or desires to please my interest. There's my interest that comes first. But still, it's not the highest form of practice, nishkama karma yoga, because in nishkama karma yoga, you are not attached to the fruit. Karmani vadikaras che ma paleshu kadach. So you're not attached to the fruit, but you're still attached to the form of practice, nishkama karma yoga. But in the pure state of anyabilashita shunyam, you're not attracted by any form of practice. Whatever you do when it comes to bhakti and serving, you are happy. So that's the position we're trying to aspire for. We just want to be engaged in service as much as we can, doing whatever devotees want us to do. And it's something that, of course, we're all learning and hearing about, but we should desire that. And like I said, this aspiration for that desire is also possible for the Lord to fulfill. So, Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmaja anavritam anukulyana krishnanu shilanam bhakti rutama. And that anukulyana, it's that interest, Krishna's interest should be coming first. That should be our intent. So, we'll continue here in the prayers of Lord Brahma. He's going to continue speaking. There's some more verses here. But this is 8:30. I'll conclude here. We spoke about 5 things in this text. Briefly. What are the 4 kinds of living entities? And the second thing, they're created by the Lord. How are they created? And the third, material creation rests on His lotus feet. How does that take place? The importance of the lotus feet of Krishna. He's the great supreme person, full of opulence and power. So what are His opulences and how does He manifest them? And the 5th thing is, may He be pleased with us, the demigods is saying, or Brahma is saying. So how can we really please the Lord? So thank you so much. Would you like to add anything or comment? Ask a question or comment? Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Javita Prabhu has something to...
There's something I want to read, but I want to read it after everyone else has asked their question. So
Okay.
if Vijay had something or anyone has anything.
Okay. Okay. Is there anyone in the room who would like to ask a question or add something? So, number 3 is material creation rests on His lotus feet.
Oh, that's 3. What was 2?
2 was how the Mahatattva, how this material manifestation is created by Him. Or is not how all the living entities created by Him. Yeah, this is the second. So the first one is, on this earth there are 4 kinds of living entities. Second one, who are all created by Him. And of course, it including material creation. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Note about the terminology.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with
not
this in
good
the
at that.
second chapter. Brahma didn't create the living entities. We're never created. The living entity is normally for the soul. Living being is Prabhupada uses for both the living entity often, but also Brahma. He's the first living being in the universe.
Yeah.
So he's got a body and the soul together make a living being. But living entity is just the soul generally.
Okay.
So yeah, just terminology.
Okay, so I should have been saying living being instead of a living entity.
But in the text here it says living entities, doesn't it? In the translation?
Yeah, it does.
Living entities are created, 4 types of living entities.
It's true. Mm-hmm. It says that. All created by Him. 4 kinds of living entities. Let's see, maybe there's also in the purport. In this cosmic manifestation, there are 4 kinds of living entities generated from the Lord. Generated. So,
There's Bhagavad Gita also, I think. It goes up to living entities and it's talking about different forms.
mm-hmm. Okay, Vijay Prabhu, it's your time to ask a question or make a comment.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind. Dandavat pranams.
Dandavat pranams.
In the purport, more or less, at the middle of the purport, there's the following quote. Quote, no one is independent, but the Supreme Soul is completely independent. Close quote. So based on this quote, my question is, how do you explain the Lord expanding Himself as the super soul, for him to inhabit the hearts of the living entities. In other words, for a person with a poor fund of knowledge, it may appear that the Lord, because he is sort of homeless, he had to expand himself to live in the hearts of all living entities. The burning question would be, what kind of completely independent is this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes we see that the Lord extends himself into the heart of a living entity, and it's not the most pleasing place to be extended to. But yeah, all the spiritual topics and all the spiritual laws, you can say, we see that it's a manifestation of complete mercy. So therefore, we're always given a chance if we just if we utilize our free will in a proper sense, in a proper way. But also the understanding of Bhagavad Gita, for example, where Krishna explains in his 29th text of the 9th chapter, Samoham sarvabhuteshu named vishwastina priyaha yabhajanti tamam bhaktya maeti teshu chapiyaham. He says, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I'm also a friend to him. So the Lord doesn't envy anyone. That's the first thing. He's also not partial to anyone. And he's equal to all living entities. But whoever renders service unto him in devotion is a friend. He says, Yabhajanti to mam bhaktya. So if we see that the Lord is merciful, why is he more merciful to those who have Yabhajanti to mam bhaktya to him? Very simple. He is neutral, but as long as we also want to be neutral or want to be away from him, not even neutral, but also hostile, the Lord is just sanctioning or not sanctioning things for us. Upadrashtana mantacha bharta bhakta maheshwara, according to our past deeds. So if we have necessary karma, punya, then he can allow something to happen. But if we don't, it doesn't happen. So it's simply just a law of nature. And that law of nature doesn't have emotions. It's just the super soul acting. The Mahatattva is manifested. The Lord extends himself. And he's just maintaining this creation. But if we do have bhakti, then it's a completely different experience. By bhakti, the Lord could be bhakti, could be actually attracted. And devotees are doing these devotional activities in order to come closer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and really understand His compassion. So I feel like I'm butchering this answer a little bit, but the basic understanding is that compassion is there within the Lord, therefore He comes, He sees all of our activities, and as long as we are neutral and want to be far away from Him, then the Lord just lets us to be here in this material world, to do whatever we aspire to do. But if we begin to render devotional service, then He notices that and He wants to pick us up and get us closer to His lotus feet, so we can really take shelter and understand His great Mahat Vibhutis, His sweetness. Paneshwara, Her Grace Paneshwara Mataji was mentioning very nicely yesterday that if you want to understand the opulence of the Supreme Lord, if you want to understand the greatness, the sweetness of the Supreme Lord, then you have to understand the greatness, the opulences, like that. So that's the understanding. Does that answer your question, or should I say something else?
Yeah, yes, you presented very nice points. So my follow-up question would be, the Lord is inhabiting my heart in the form of the super soul, not because He is homeless.
No, of course not.
Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
No, the Lord is not homeless. He lives in His eternal abode. And Maya Dakshina Prakriti, all the things in this material creation are also controlled by Him. So rather we live in His house. We here dependent on Him. And yeah, like I said,
Exactly.
he's
Yeah, that is the answer I need. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
All right,
Hare Krishna.
this is a little unusual, but I just came across this. You know, Vijay has his book distribution stories he sends out. I'm sure you get them, but you
Yeah.
probably haven't seen one from today.
From Russia?
Yeah, you saw it?
I didn't have a chance to read it.
Oh my
but
God!
I saw
Let me
the
just read it
title.
real quick. It's the most amazing thing. So this is from Ambarish Swami.
Yeah, the one from
I went to one factory in Russia to distribute books. On meeting the secretary, I asked to see the director. She went to tell the director that someone wanted to meet him. When he came out and saw me, he asked if I was a Hare Krishna. I said, yes, I am. He then said to the secretary, don't let him go. I'm going to call the police. These people should be crushed like cockroaches. Close quote. I quietly slipped out the door and went to another place. Went to several other places. What happened afterwards was amazing. When the director went home, he found his daughter crying because his wife had had a severe heart attack. The next day, for no apparent reason, his son was imprisoned, arrested and put in prison. The next day, the director's superiors, also for no apparent reason, put him on leave and said from that day forward he should consider himself fired. To top it off, when he went home the next day, he found his house on fire. Luckily, the fire wasn't so big, so the firemen were able to put it out. Feeling hopeless from all his misfortune, the man sat down with his religious daughter to discuss how all this could have happened. She asked her father if he had committed any grievous sins recently. Reflecting on the days before the calamities came, he remembered the Hare Krishna person he had condemned. She immediately said, that's it. You offended a saint. We have to find out where he lives and beg for forgiveness. They have temples. We have to find out where the nearest temple is. Close quote. Looking on the internet, they found the temple address, went to the temple, and entered the temple room. Looking around, the man said to his daughter, that's him, sitting over there. They both came over to me. With tears in his eyes and begging for forgiveness, he spoke about all the misfortunes that had happened since he had insulted me. I was kind to him, and I said he should be careful about judging people. Now you've learned a lesson. Some time passed, and he again came to the temple and gave a donation to the deities. Mm-hmm. He invited me to the factory and said I should bring a lot of books, and he would help me distribute them. He told the employees if anyone didn't buy a book, they would lose their jobs. He told me that after he had asked for forgiveness, his wife was discharged from the hospital. It turned out she hadn't had a heart attack after all. Then his son was let out of jail owing to a wrongful arrest and prosecution. And finally, he had been reinstated at work. The only thing that remained from the offense was the fire damage to remind him. Your servant, Ambarish Maharaj.
That's amazing.
I thought I would put that on the record, people out there.
Hare Krishna. That's a wonderful. Yeah, it's on the
I was just saying he's probably compiling for another book. You know, the Treasures of the Priya Madangas, full of all kinds of stories.
His Holiness Ambarish, Ambarish Swami, he's been doing like this. He's been preaching at the factories, for quite a long time, and he had a lot of success because you can sign up all the workers, you know, if you luck out, if you're successful. And one time I also heard this story. I'll just briefly say one Mataji, she was about preaching at offices and places like that, factories. She was approaching, I don't remember where, but she was approaching a wealthy lady who she had a business, and she knocked on the door. The secretary answered, and the secretary saw a devotee standing there, and she asked, "What would you like?" And she said, "I'd like to speak with your supervisor, with someone who can really make decisions, you know." And then she said, "Okay, sure." And the secretary went to the supervisor and she asked, "There's a lady who wants to speak with you. She wants to speak with you. She looks like it's something like a preposition, maybe something unusual." And so the supervisors asked the secretary, "Is she dressed well?" And she said, "Yes, she dressed well. So okay, then she can come in." So that's something that reminded me that we should really be also Externally, we should look attractive. Our books are very attractive. It's true. It's a fact, especially if you start reading them. But we should also be a representative of Srila Prabhupada. Also should be well dressed with nice tilak if possible, clean. It makes a difference on Sankirtan book distribution, especially doing Harinam. You know, in Russia we have beautiful Harinams that all the some devotees might not be fully up for it, but the Matajis are well dressed. They wear a garland. They're all up in the front, dancing in sequence like that, and all the Prabhus in the back singing, playing instruments. So that's attractive. Just seeing that inspires you, and you want to dance and chant with devotees.
Question on that, then I'll go because it's late. Do the devotees have to worry about getting drafted and getting sent to the front of that crazy war?
I don't think so. It's not.
They have a conscientious
You get a
objection?
permission usually if you want to. Like I was hearing the lecture of His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu. He was saying that in downtown of San Jose they rent this plaza.
Uh-huh.
So as long as you rent it and you in good relationship with the officials, then you're fine. So similarly in Russia, if you let the government know in advance, the city government, then yeah, there's no.
Yeah, not a question of whether, just in general, whether, because there's young men in the movement, aren't there? Not so many anymore. They've all been drafted. I mean, don't you have people your age there?
Oh yeah, quite a few, a lot.
But the government doesn't go out, because I know they're trying to, fight this war, and a lot of people don't want to fight it, so they don't have any problem. Because here you have something called conscientious objector.
Mm-hmm.
This is in the early days of the movement, in the middle of the Vietnam War, and the devotees were able to get out in various ways. Sometimes they had all kinds of stories how they got out, but at least some of them were able to get out in the form of conscientious objector, that they're not suitable for the army. They won't be able to fight with like that.
Some devotees in the movement in the early days had to do that. Yeah, Mukunda, I think Goswami had to do that.
You may have
know
done
this.
That. Went to India. So that was
Yeah.
Turn 18. And there's some other stories which I won't go into.
Yes, very charitable.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. I want to ask you the quote that you told that you got harm of this age, congregational chanting or simple chanting. What I want to know,
What was the first part?
Congregational chanting or simple chanting. I think it's a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And, what maybe Dravida Prabhu, you can enlighten us.
What is the difference between congregational chanting?
No. Yuga Dharma is a
Yuga Dharma.
congregational chanting or simple chanting. Is like because of Srila Prabhupada many times stressed that only japa is not enough. Needed congregational chanting. It's Sankirtana movement, not only chanting japa in solitary place.
Yeah, it's definitely both. We have to be in good shape to give the holy name, so we do have japa, morning individual.
No, my question is what our scripture speaks is what is Yuga Dharma of this age?
Harinama.
Kalya doshana de rajan asti eko mahadguna kirtanad eva krishnasya mukta sangha paramajat. So that kirtan includes not only chanting the holy name, but also glorifying the Lord, but especially Prabhupada translates it as chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, as far as I know. So it's Sankirtan, it's not, one is the Yuga Dharma and one is not the Yuga Dharma. They're both part of it. Sankirtan is perhaps the most outreach, obviously, form of it. But the other part is also important, and Lord Chaitanya did both. He chanted japa also.
So this Kalya Dosha Nidhirajan, it's referring to the Kirtana Deva Krishna Sats, referring to the congregational chanting in this way. Just chanting. Okay. Mhm. So both are important, but the congregational chanting is important for the outreach. That's how we attract people. So this is the understanding. Thank you. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.